Tammy with COOKBOOK. Today I'm going to make a lot of pies. The first pie I'm going to make is a pecan pie, and you just can't have, in my opinion, Thanksgiving without a pecan pie or a pumpkin pie. We're going to start out with 2 tablespoons of melted butter to make our pecan pie. Now, if you've ever made a pecan pie and it didn't set up and it ran all over the place when you cut it, you need my recipe. All right, it's super simple. It's in the first cookbook. And great news, if you haven't read the community post, Chris and I put all of our recipes printable on the website. Over 600. Please go to my website when you want to find any recipe to cook for dinner, to make for the holidays. There's probably 60-something pies. There's over probably 70 different cakes. One is category cakes from scratch, and the other is cakes from a cake mix. So there's so much to choose from. So you guys visit our website and go print off those recipes for your holiday cooking. We're going to start with pecan pie today. You start out with 2 tablespoons of melted butter. This is one of the easiest pies on the universe to make. So you put in your butter, and then you add a cup of corn syrup. Now, I like to mix my corn syrup, and I typically use a half a cup of light and a half a cup of dark. But today, I'm going to make my Golden Eagle pecan pie with my Golden Eagle syrup. Now, if you can't get Golden Eagle, just use Karo syrup. But what I'm going to do, because Golden Eagle is a lighter syrup, is I'm going to add a little molasses to it to get me that dark, rich flavor that I like in a pecan pie. And the other day, somebody said, when you're using syrup and you're pouring it and you want to measure it, spray your measuring glass with some cooking oil and it slides right out. And I've never done that before, so we're going to do that today. I'll spray it right here. So we're going to use a cup. Now I'm just going to use about a tablespoon of molasses to give it a rich flavor. And it's not going to hurt going over the amount of syrup with just that tablespoon of molasses. I'm actually making a deep dish recipe so that it will fill up a 9-inch pie. All right. So we're going to get this in our batter bowl. It did come out a lot easier. So we're going to add to this a cup of sugar. Good old sugar. Yeah, as if it's not sweet enough already, right? And 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I haven't got the eggs in here yet. Let me just add the eggs. We're going to use 3 eggs because I'm using, this is a deep dish recipe. Oh, and that'll make it more stirrable. So we've got the corn syrup, the vanilla, the sugar, the eggs. And after I get this stirred in good, we're going to stir in some flour. And that's what helps it set up. I had a viewer send me some fresh pecans, and boy, do they taste so fresh and delicious. They are wonderful. So I'm using those. Here's our pie. Look at that nice color we got in there. And now we're going to put in for the deep dish 1 1/4 teaspoons of self-rising flour. And then I'm going to put in some salt. It says a dash of salt, but I'm going to put in a nice dash of salt. A double dash, because that's what makes it taste so good. All right, and we're going to mix this up. Make sure you get the flour in there good. When you add that little bit of flour, your pecan pie will set up. But it still takes a good hour to cook it. There's that. Now this is my favorite way to do pecan. I just pour the pecans into the crust. I don't mix them up in the stuff. And I'll tell you why. Make sure you got ample, really extra, because once you pour the filling in there, they're going to float on the top. But what I like about doing it this way is I actually think they taste toastier. I don't know why, but I do. I remember one time my daddy's girlfriend, Teresa, made a pecan pie. It was the best one I've ever tasted. And I said, what did you do? And she said, well, I always, because it was more toasty tasting to me. She said, I always put my pecans in the pie, and then I pour the filling over them. And I started doing that, and it really does, to me, make a difference. So that's what we're doing today. You live and learn. That's the great thing about having family and different people cooking. You can always improve many times on what you're doing, if you just have an open mind, right? That pie's full, ain't it? And now you can just kind of pat it. Make sure you got enough pecans, and if you see a blank spot, then add some. Hopefully, you can have this. Now, diabetics, no. This is probably one of the sweetest pies you can make, okay? Actually, it's only got 2 cups of sugar in it. But that's a lot of sugar for one pie, okay? We're going to get this in the oven. Now, this is going to bake for a long time. Let me go get my pie rim thing right quick. And I like to put it on a pecan pie or any pie that's going to be in the oven more than 30 minutes, which is a lot of pies for them to get fully set. Even a pumpkin pie really needs one. It's thin, it's metal, they're cheap as dirt. You can get them on our website. You can get them probably, I don't know if they have them at Walmart or not, but I'm going to show you how it fits right down on the pie. And it fits a 9-inch pie plate. Now, when I make pies, I like to use a plain old pie plate. I do not like to use pretty ones because this fits on it. Here's a pretty one, and I'm going to make a cobbler in it. But I do not like to make pies in these fancy pie plates. The reason being is you never have enough crust. It doesn't have a lip to form your crust on. And that lip is what keeps the crust from falling down into the pie. So, it's just, I just like them. If for any reason you're scared you're going to spill it, you can fill it up on the rack once it's in the oven. Our pecan pie's coming out of the oven. It is pretty and toasty and nice and set. So we're going to get it out of here right quick. And I do like a pecan pie cooked a long time. So they're nice and dark, but that's how I like them. And it got pretty brown even with the thing around it. But that's the way I like my pecan pie. I like them almost chewy. That is how I grew up eating pecan pie. I grew up eating pecan pie that's cooked so long that it's almost chewy. And that's how we like it. If you don't want to cook yours that long, you don't have to. Of course, take it out early because this one was set up probably 20 minutes ago. All right. But we'll cut into this and get us a piece in a few minutes, and I'll show you how pretty it looks. If you want to see a piece of the pie after it's cooled and it looks good on a plate, look at the thumbnail. I just couldn't wait. You can see the color of it is nice and dark, and it's got a nice setup because of the flour we put in there. That's it for the day. I think I'll walk in here and turn on my Christmas tree. Y'all, if you haven't been through chemotherapy, you're so blessed not to have to close your eyes to recall words. And yes, I know we do it as we get older, but I've been doing it since I was 40. So I can get the words. I just have to wait a second. Lots of you who are new to Collard Valley Cooks will find that if I'm doing a recipe and I'm live, lots of times the way my brain works, I'm serious, I call out the wrong thing. I think I'm saying the right thing, but I'm saying the wrong thing. Lots of times I'll say a half a cup when I mean a half a stick, or I'll say a half a stick when I mean a half a cup, and they're two totally different things. So always check your recipes. And now that the recipes are online, you shouldn't have a hard time marking up your recipe books and printing out something to make for Thanksgiving this year. Or anything, really. Birthday, holiday. I've got so many vegetables on there. So we're going to come in here and we're going to light up the Christmas tree. And you know what? After I do this, I'm going to cook some more. Now, one thing I was going to tell you guys about a Christmas tree. Mine's not real big at the bottom because it's too much trouble for me to shape. I just physically can't take care of a tree that's huge at the bottom. Typically I shape this one in a ladder, which I don't normally do, but Chris was gone. But typically I shape mine while I'm sitting on the couch, and I shape it, and then he picks up the parts and puts them together. So I shape them when they're down on the floor. I don't shape them up in the ladder like I did this year. That was the first time ever. But if you will unplug your tree, there's so many of you who do not unplug the tree when you go to bed at night. You really should unplug your tree if you want your lights to last longer. My trees last so much longer than my sister's because she leaves them plugged in all night. If you will just take the time to unplug it, you'll enjoy your tree a lot longer and you won't wind up having to put lights on it, okay? I always turn these on too. Now, if you're as picky as my mama, my mother never had enough lights on the tree. And no matter what tree she got, she would put a lot more strands of lights on it. You know, there was never enough lights on the tree for mama. And now they make trees. My nephew, let me tell y'all this about my nephew. My nephew Seth is married to Holly. If you'll go back and watch the video, you can search it on Google. Pork spinach dinner, Collard Valley Cooks. 2 Christmases ago, we had the whole family at the house. And my nephew came, and his little girl was, his 2 little girls, and now he has a little baby boy. But he was there. He came this year to our Thanksgiving feast, and I was making granny green beans. And he was telling me how he made his green beans and how he added, they add these different things to them. And I said, well, I know you like them, and I'm sure they're delicious, but you're just going to have to try my granny green beans. And I told him what I put in them, and he kind of looked funny, like there's no way that could be good. Do you know, 2 days after the Thanksgiving feast, Holly gave me a text and said, Tammy, I have got to have your granny green bean recipe. Seth wants it. So if you haven't made granny green beans, do a test trial and error run out of the 3-can one and see if you like them. but don't put potatoes in them. And make sure you cook them a long time like I do and let them glaze and get that caramel smell and flavor. If you don't, those are not my granny green beans, okay? They'll be too sweet. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'm sure I will see you again soon because I'll be cooking all week. Love ya. Bye.